Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We are going to get started with a nigun to help us root ourselves in Shabbat. So let's take a moment to take a deep breath in and out. are now going to welcome Shabbat with the lighting of Shabbat candles. It's my pleasure to invite Ann Anderson to help us with the lighting of Shabbat candles, and the blessing will be found on page 120.
We are holiness. We are blessed. We are filled and sustained by gifts imparted and ingrained. On Shabbat, we rest with intention. We breathe in the divine spirit and release the tumult of the week gone by. We take a few moments to simply be present. We rediscover our connection to our Creator. In that quiet moment of truth so profound, alone with our source, we see our own reflections and find that we have also found ourselves. Written by Suzanne Sabronsky. Doesn't work. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. We are on page 138 for the words of Lecha Dodi, where we are welcoming Shabbat as though she is a bride, and we are so thrilled to welcome her to her wedding. We are on page 138. We are on page 142 for the words of Shalom Aleichem as we greet the angels of peace and we wish them travels to us and travels back home to be safe and peaceful. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu ni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitzchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We are on page 146 for the words of Baruch Hu. Please rise in all the ways you are able. Turn the page to 148 in the middle of the Hebrew where we read Borei Yom Valayla Golel Or Mipnei Choshech Vechoshech Mipnei Or. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light. Baruch Ata Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. We are on page 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meotecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Veshinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, b'shivtecha b'veitecha, uvlechtecha v'derech, uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha, uchtavtam, al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha lema antiskeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Lihiot lachem le'Elohim, ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, emet. It's my pleasure to invite Jonathan King to share with us a reading on page 159.
Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
In a moment, we are going to sing the words of Mi Chamocha, these words of gratitude for freedom, having experienced such long, hard years of slavery. Our people may have thought that there was no hope. And somehow, even though they had not themselves perhaps held on to hope, there were those amongst them who did, who kept the people going. And hopeful things happened, even though they may have had moments where they were faltering, where they were wondering if the suffering would ever end. And so we hold on to that gratitude, the gratitude that may come to us as we come out surrounded by huge bodies of water, surrounded by huge trees, surrounded by nature, and surrounded with awe for the world that we live in. We're on page 158. 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'amor We continue on page 164 as we begin the tefillah, the core part of our service. Please rise in all the ways you are able. Adonai, sefatai tiftachu fi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, ve'Konei Hakol, ve'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, u'Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah Rav le'Hoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayim emunato, Lishenei afar, החיות, ומידו מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. Please take a moment for your own silent prayer and feel free to be seated when your prayer is complete. On page 178, as we pray for peace in this world. Shalom Ahava Yisrael Ha'cha, Tassim Le'olam. Shalom Ahava Yisrael Ha'cha, Tassim to 180 as we ask God that all the words that we've just said, the ones that we've said aloud, asking for peace, and the ones that we've kept in our hearts, that they be acceptable and accepted. Many, many years ago, there was a rabbi named Yitzchak who lived in Prague. Yitzchak was a wonderful man. He was kind and he was compassionate, and he had many personal virtues that were wonderful. But common sense didn't really make him a wealthy man, and his poverty tormented him. He wondered sometimes where the next meal was going to come from. He would stress out how he was going to be able to feed his family. And it was so hard to see his family go hungry and suffer from the cold. One night, Yitzchak had a dream. He had fallen asleep, and it was a hard sleep, and he was snoring more than usual, which his wife was really wondering what was going on in here, but he was going, and the dream was crazy. It was so strange and so incredible that next morning he could not get the dream out of his mind. He had dreamed that hidden on a riverbank in a far-off city laid a buried treasure. And in his dream, he kept seeing the exact spot where the treasure was located. It was in the shadow of a bridge that led to the palace of the king. In Rabbi Yitzchak's dream, a voice kept telling him, "Rise and go to Paris, and there you will find a great treasure." Well, Prague to Paris, he knew that was a crazy dream, and so he tried to forget about it. So he went about his day. He went and prayed some prayers, did some studying, and he tried to go back to sleep. And when he tried to go back to sleep, he had a hard time, and then he finally fell asleep, and then he was snoring up a storm again and again, and he kept dreaming that dream. Each night he would have this dream, and then he would wake up and he would say, "Oh, it's just a crazy dream," and then he would snore up a storm. He would have the same dream again and again, and finally he was so moved by this dream. It was so powerful that he decided to follow it. You have the same dream a couple nights in a row, okay, big deal. But when you start having it a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in a row, it's a sign. We probably should be doing something about it. So he decided to follow it. He packed his belongings, and he went on his way saying goodbye to his family, at least for now, and beginning the long and dangerous and treacherous and exhausting walk from Prague to Paris. Instinctively, Rabbi Yitzchak knew when he had reached the city of Paris, and his feet took him straight to the middle of the city, where he saw the king's castle. Everywhere he looked, everything looked exactly how he had seen it in his dream. The river, the palace, the stone bridge, and the spot in the shadow at the foot of the bridge that contained the hidden treasure. But there was one thing that he hadn't seen in his dreams, and it presented quite a problem. The bridge was guarded. And that scared Rabbi Yitzchak, and he didn't know what to do about it. So he sat by the river, staring at the bridge, staring at the palace. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I want to find the hidden treasure, but there's a guard. And he stared at the guard, and he was scared because he didn't know whether he'd be arrested because he was from out of town. Oh my God, he thought, and in Paris, if the guards find out not only that I'm out of town, that I'm from Prague, but also that I'm a Jew, and also that I'm trying to find this treasure, and who knows who the treasure might belong to, they will certainly throw me in jail, and then who will feed my family? Rabbi Yitzchak was filled with despair, and in his fear, he was unable to move. So he just sat there. He just sat by the river, looking at the bridge, and then looking at the king's palace, and then looking at the guards, and then looking at the bridge again and again. And days went by as he tried to figure out ways to divert the guards' attention, but his ideas were useless. And he was really sad that he had come all this way, leaving his family behind, and for what? One day, it dawned on Rabbi Yitzchak that in his many dreams, he had always seen where the treasure was buried, but he had never seen the treasure in his hands. And this realization made Rabbi Yitzchak even more depressed. Oh my gosh, I came all of this way, and in my dream I had never seen me receiving this treasure. And later that day, the captain of the guards clambered down the bridge and approached Rabbi Yitzchak, who at this point was pretty much feeling hopeless. What am I going to do? I came all this way and I'm going to return empty-handed. And the captain of the guards said, "You've been here for a number of days. You've done nothing wrong, but you're staying here. What are you doing? Are you waiting for someone to visit you? Are you waiting for something to happen?" And feeling hopeless, Rabbi Yitzchak decided to tell the truth to the guard. He told him about his dream and about his belief that if he came to this spot, a treasure would be waiting for him. He told him that he had expected to have the treasure for himself and his family. Somewhat embarrassed, Yitzchak admitted, "I guess I was just fooled by a dream." And the captain thought to himself. He rubbed his beard. "Yeah, dreams are like that. And it's funny that you should say that, because I too have been dreaming of a treasure. And in my dream, I go to a far-off place, a far-off city, and I go to a certain house, and under the hearth of the home that belongs to a very wise man, I also find a treasure. And who am I, the captain of some guards, to believe such a dream? It's ridiculous. I'd be laughed at to death if I were to reveal my dream." And Yitzchak started thinking, and he asked, "A certain man, a certain city?" And the guard said, "Yeah, the city is called," any guesses? Prague. The city is called Prague. And the guy's name is like Isaac, Itzik, something like that. I don't know. It's crazy. I'm crazy. Who would ever believe that I'd be able to find some guy I've never met in a city like that, and that I would find a treasure that I couldn't possibly know about? And Rabbi Yitzchak knew immediately what the purpose of the dream had been. He had walked all the way back to Prague and dug beneath the stones of the hearth of his home. And there was the treasure waiting for him. It had been with him his whole life, but he had never known he had it until he searched for it. You could be thinking to yourself, well, that's a fun story, but he really could have just skipped the whole trip to Paris part and dug under his hearth. It could have been there the whole time. He could have skipped all that missed time with his family. What are we supposed to do with this story? Yet there's something important about the experience of the search that happens first. In this week's Torah portion, B'ha'alotecha, we read about the Israelites going on their journey, but they're not going alone. They're going guided by God as a fire in the night and as a cloud during the day. And they're on their way to the Holy Land, going a pretty roundabout way. It doesn't really take 40 years in the desert to get from Sinai to the land of Canaan if you're taking the quickest way. But sometimes we are guided in a roundabout way because we need to go on that longer journey so that we are ready for the treasure, whatever that treasure is, when we finally arrive. So if we are finding ourselves on a little roundabout journey, a journey that seems to be taking us far away or not in the direction that we might think that we might go, if things are taking a little bit longer, if we might start to feel hopeless, let us hold in our hearts some patience and some self-compassion, and let us allow ourselves to go on the search, to go on the journey, knowing that we will find what we're looking for in the end. Can you hear at Zone? May this be God's will. With these words of Torah on our hearts, we think of those who are in need of healing of body, healing of spirit. If you are thinking of someone who's in need of healing at this time, if you're joining us by Zoom, please feel free to say their name aloud to someone else in the room with you or to type their name in the chat. And if you are with us in person, please feel free to share their name aloud or in your heart as my hand passes over your section.
Sherry King, Greg King, Yvette Alexander, and myself.
Ellen Rosen, Phyllis Wood, Krishna Eisenberg, Michael Melovich,
Cheryl Smith, Adrian Brown, Craig Spiegel, and Bruce Baldwin. My sister Jeannie, Ellen, and Marilyn Garrett, and Jerry Ann.
We'll pause a moment for our friends on Zoom. And we'll also keep in our prayers those who are being affected by the wildfires in Canada, and even those who are breathing the air in all of the places where the smoke has found itself. For all those names that we've said aloud, those we've kept in our hearts, and those that we've typed in the chat, we turn to page 371 for the words of Mi Sheberach. Abraham continue on page 586 for the words of Aleinu. Please rise in the ways that you are able. Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, la'tet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkenu kahem, v'goralenu kechol hamonam. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. Please be seated. At this time, we think of those who are no longer with us on this earth, but remain with us in our memories of them, and the stories that they told us, and in the ways that they impact the way we walk this earth. As we read your loved one's name, please rise. This Shabbat, we are remembering those whose yahrzeit occurred this past week. Motel Bendersky, remembered by Larissa Krasnovskaya. Grace Green, mother of Renee Gay. Leib Kleinerman, remembered by Larissa Krasnovskaya. Wendy Otelsberg, sister of Lori Ravenscroft. Fateh Perleski, son of Bahya Sanipur, and Sarah Yazvoin, remembered by Zoya Kravitz. We now invite all who are observing their first year of mourning to rise at this time. And now we rise as a community with our mourners as we turn to page 598 for the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabba, ba'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala ubizman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam ulamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, Vit hadar, vit ale, vit halal, shmei dekudsha, brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom bimramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, amen. Zichronam livracha, may all of their memories be for a blessing, to which we say, amen. Amen. Please be seated. And it is my pleasure to invite Susan Schwartz, you were right, Susan Schwartz, to share with us words of announcement.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Torah study is extending its hiatus through this Sunday and will resume on June 18th. WTBT's 2023 installation tea is this Sunday, June 11th at 3:15 p.m. Join WTBT in thanking their outgoing board and welcoming their incoming board. This event is for ages 21 and up. Registration information can be found in yesterday's weekly. A great big thank you to all who donated to Beautify Our Windows campaign. Thanks to your generosity, we raised over $3,400 to beautify our building. If you haven't already done so, be sure to take a moment to check out our newly redesigned website. You'll find lots of great information and get to see some pictures that haven't been shared in quite a while. Temple Beth Torah seeks to be a community accessible to all of its members. We are looking for volunteers to occasionally provide transportation to those needing rides to Shabbat services or other in-person programming. If you can help with this mitzvah one time or more, please contact Terry at Chevra Chesed at bethtorah-fremont.org. Shabbat Where You Are will be returning this July. Shabbat services will be in person only for the month of July, with an option for Shabbat blessings on Zoom a little before services. Thank you to Sean Robin for managing the AV, audio video, and to Janine Charlton and Jack Samowski for representing the worship committee tonight. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much. And just as a reminder for all of our tech study folks, I know it was a little quiet for our tech study folks. We are not going to start this Sunday, but rather next Sunday will be when we will be back up and running for Torah study. But the Torah is still there, so if you miss it a lot, there's plenty of study to be doing. You don't have to wait just for me to be there. We are going to continue on with those words of gratitude by starting off with gratitude for our family, however we define it. If you are in the same room with somebody that you consider family, if you want to reach out to them, if you want to hold their hand, you can feel free to do so. If you want to take a moment to take a breath, to close your eyes and think of those who you might not be in the room with, but that you want to send this blessing to, you can hold your other family members in your heart as well. May God bless you and keep you. May God shine God's face upon you and be gracious to you. May God's face turn to you and grant you peace, to which we say, Amen. And we continue with our blessings, our words of gratitude on page 123 for the words of Kiddush. And if I remember correctly, and I might not, for those who are in person, grape juice is white, is the light juice. So if you are looking for grape juice, make sure that you take the one that you hoped for. And there's a sign. Follow the signs. So we're on page 123. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'charta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol hamim, ve'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat. L'chaim. And we'll do a quick blessing for Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon. We are going to conclude with one more prayer for peace. We can never pray for it enough. We are on page 180. And the chord sheet is hiding from me. There we go. There, we found it. Oh, say shalom, shalom, B'romav. Ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ve'yakov Yisrael ve'imru Shabbat shalom, everyone. Shabbat shalom to our friends on Zoom. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.